It's Michaela.
Michaela's online.
It might be
Patrick
good
was
for-
here.
At 7 o'clock.
Put like tape in front of the public.
Michaela, we're not connected here yet.
Therefore, she can't hear.
But we're not in session, so we'll have to do the buzz off.
She should be able to hear me.
She can hear
through
us.
this, right? No, yes?
I think she can hear us.
Somebody want to grab the IT folks, because
Alex just.
Can hear you. This is Sue Levering. I can hear everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yep.
hear you, but we're not on here.
we need to get the computer
The
turned
computer
on.
isn't turned on.
Did you try unplugging, plugging it back in?
That won't help if there's no power there.
This always works so well. Yeah, the computer's not on here.
Wait, it's not? What the heck? I thought it was on there.
I found it. Figure if I fiddled around
See if
enough.
it, make sure it comes on.
Computer was on.
There it goes.
There it is. Okay.
And then you have to
I know, I agree.
Why the police here?
But they're coming back.
I don't see anything on the agenda.
Which one? The budget committee, man.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hey, Chief.
Just be patient. We're here. Okay, we're good. Let me turn this on first.
I'm going to call the meeting, special meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order on Monday, March 28th, 2022 at 7:01 PM here in the Aldermanic Chamber, as well as via Zoom teleconference. Prayer will be offered by City Clerk Susan Lovering, and Alderman Kathy will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please indicate if participating via Zoom, state why you're not at the meeting in person, and whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien. Alderman Sullivan.
Present, I'm attending on Zoom as I'm traveling for work and I'm alone in the room.
Alderman Clee.
Here.
Alderman Moran. Alderman Lopez.
Here.
Alderman Jettie.
Here.
Alderman Clemmons. Alderwoman Kelly. Alderman Camo.
Present.
Alderman Dowd.
Present.
Alderman Govea.
Here.
Alderman Kathy.
Present.
Alderman Tebow.
Here.
Alderwoman Timmons. Alderman Wiltshire.
Here.
You have 9 physically in attendance and 1 participating via Zoom.
And we have a quorum. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also joining us this evening is Corporation Counsel Steve Bolton. As is customary for these public hearings, I am going to turn this meeting over to the chairman of the Budget Review Committee, Alderman Dowd.
Yes, today we have a public hearing on R-22-013, authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed $6,208,325 for the city's sewer infrastructure program and sewer structures. Is there anyone here from DPW or up? I see Mr. Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the funding for the annual sewer program. This covers all of our pipe reconstruction work, so that's when we actually, dig up and replace a sewer pipe or make a repair or fix a structure, as well as the CCTV and pipe lining work that we do. I believe everybody's familiar, but just for information again, we look at about 80,000 linear feet each year of our sewer pipe. We clean it, we inspect it with closed circuit television. And if necessary, due to condition, we line those pipes. We're in the process of looking at the worst pipes in the city, or basically the oldest pipes and pipes that are of a certain material that we more frequently see issues with, like unreinforced concrete. I've noted previously that work is important to do because, first of all, we're looking at in pipes and cleaning pipes that may not have been looked at in 100 years. So it's important to look at those. And then secondly, anytime we can line a pipe and catch it before it becomes an urgent issue due to a collapse, it's a significant cost savings. It costs about 20 times as much to dig up and replace a pipe as it does to do a lining, and a lining basically builds a pipe within a pipe. So this contract funds all those things. Last year we contracted with SUR West. They did a bunch of pipe replacement, and Green Mountain Pipeline Services, who is doing CCTV and lining work, as well as with Hayner Swanson Inc., a local company, to provide some engineering support for those efforts. And I'd be happy to address any questions.
Do any of the aldermen have any questions for Mr. Hudson on this legislation? Seeing none, I'll open it up to public hearing. Testimony in favor of R 22013.
Lori Ortolano, 41 Berkeley Street. So I have a couple of questions, and I might have missed this because I was trying to get my computer uploaded here. What areas of the city does this cover? And I know that they're going to repave our street. I believe they were doing site work to repave it and do gas lines, but I believe there's a fair number of sewer pipe problems over there as well. Is it being looked at in the North End neighborhoods, and how are we addressing that? I'm just curious.
Mr. Hudson.
So yes, the funding covers all areas of the city, but we're focusing our inspection efforts and on the oldest parts of the city. The sewer system was built out over time from the downtown to the outskirts. So the downtown has most of the older pipes. But as I said, there are pipes that are like unreinforced concrete pipes have been problematic in the past, so we look at those. Right now, we're looking at pipes typically older than the 1940s, and as we progress through the system, we'll start looking at newer pipes until we get to current, pipes that meet current standards and are in good condition. We do this work hand in hand with the paving program, so whenever we are going to pave a street, we reach out to all the utility companies, gas, water, to screen the streets. But we do the same thing internally. We video the pipes on that street if they're pipes as noted in that condition that's potentially something that we'd be concerned about. Certainly, if there's any sewer issues, then please forward those to DPW. If there's any sewer issues anyone's aware of, and we'll take those very seriously.
Okay, can I just follow on for a quick second? Okay, so yes, I will send an email over to DPW because if they're going to pave the street and gas company came around, knocked on all the doors and said they were going to do the gas pipes and then repave. It's a neighborhood where the piping would be around 160 years old from the 1870s homes up to, 1900, 1925. And there's definitely some interesting smells when you walk your dog through the neighborhood. So I think there's some need, but it ought to be looked at. I just don't want them to pave the road and then find out that there were piping problems. That's all. It just came to mind when I saw this, but I'm in favor of it, and obviously we've got a lot of work to do, and you guys are doing good work. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure DPW and the rest of the city would not want the streets dug up after we paved it, so. Any other testimony in favor? No one online. I'll close testimony in favor, open up testimony in opposition. Seeing none. Once again, I'll open up testimony in favor. None. And once again, testimony in opposition. Seeing none, then I will make a motion to close the public hearing on Resolution R-22-013. Alderman Kathy?
I apologize, I did have just one question, if I may.
Sure.
For Mr. Hudson. Mr. Hudson, are you aware if any new pavement would have to be ripped up? And if so, would that be covered by either the bonds or the paving program budget?
Mr. Hudson?
Thank you. So clearly we want to avoid situations like that where we pave a street and then there's a sewer issue and that requires digging up of the street. When we have that issue, we follow the same moratorium restoration requirements as anyone else would. We do everything we can to prevent that, but sometimes that does happen. In that case, then we that's just what we would do. We would make the repair and or line the rest of the pipe and then do the pavement restoration. So we do our best to avoid it, but it is inevitable. Sometimes those things happen.
All set?
Yes, fine.
Alderman Cleen?
Thank you. Mr. Hudson, I'm not recalling that that particular street that the speaker spoke about is on the city's paving list. It is part of the gas company doing it, and if they pave it, will they be paving the entire road, or will they just be doing sections that they're digging up?
Mr. Hudson?
They would just be doing their trenches, but I believe they are doing that work in preparation for future paving. It may not be this year, maybe next year, or it may be late this year if we have an opportunity to add some roads. But yeah, when the utilities do their work, they do their work independent ahead of us. But trying to meet our timelines, and then we come in and pave after. So I assume they're just doing their own trench restoration.
Just a quick follow-up.
Follow-up?
Thank you. And adding on to Alderman Kathy's comments, if the city, in doing their studies and so on, had decided that area, and that I do believe that area does need to at least be looked at. It wasn't that long ago that some work was done in through that area, and I think it actually created more issues than anything else. The city would put off any paving they were doing until that work was completed, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, we go through the screening process, and we have plenty of streets that need paving. So we prefer not to do a street that gas or water work or sewer work is needed on. We want to pave that after. So yeah, we do defer paving on streets for utility work regularly.
Thank you.
Alderman Como?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Hudson, you mentioned that some of this work is going to be centered around downtown. Is Main Street one of the roads that you're looking at?
Mr. Hudson?
Thank you. Yes, we are doing a deep dive on Main Street. Of course, Main Street has some of the oldest stuff. We have brick sewers, which luckily have fared fairly well over the years. They did a good job building those, and those have held up. So surprisingly, some of those old brick sewers haven't been as problematic as some other pipes. But yes, we've been working with the utility companies. You've seen a lot of gas work on Main Street. That's all in anticipation of future paving, water work as well. And we're doing a thorough investigation right now on all the drainage and sewer pipes on Main Street.
All set?
Thank you.
Any others? Alderman Tebow?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hudson, just to follow up on Alderman Camo's question. So if you're looking at Main Street, is that projected work, could that be done this summer? You've talked about I don't want to open this question up because, the town loves me right now, but barrier-wise, would this work contradict any barrier discussion? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. We're not planning to pave Main Street this year.
Okay.
But the utility work is underway. The extended dining, didn't occur on March 15th, so we've gained the benefit of a little additional time that they've been working during the winter, trying to wrap up gas main work before dining opens. So they're getting close on that. But yes, we're cognizant of the extended outdoor dining, potential plans for that, and are working our schedules around it.
Great, thank you.
Everyone else set? That's the case. I'll close the public hearing on R-22-013 at 7:15 PM. And we'll go going right into budget. 2 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry. So now, I'm not closing the meeting. We just closed the public hearing. So, the new business resolutions on the other page.
This one here? R22.
Yes.
R22-022, approving the cost items of a collective bargaining agreement between the National Board of Education and National Teachers Union, Local 1044, AFT, AFL-CIO, from September 1st, 2021 through August 31st, 2025, and authorizing a related transfer and supplemental appropriation.
Given its first reading,
This is the first reading, sorry.
first reading, I'll assign it to the Budget Review Committee in accordance with Alderman Wilshire. And my name should have been on there as a sponsor as well. Is there anyone else who wish to sponsor? Yes, I assume that means yes.
to sponsor.
Alderman Lopez and Alderman Clee.
Me too.
Over here.
Alderman
Thank you.
Tebow. Anyone online? No. Okay, so that's referred to budget. Would you like to make a motion?
I'm not really sure which motion I'm supposed to make here.
Adjourn.
Oh. Mr. Chairman, I motion to adjourn the March 28th, 2022 special meeting of the Board of Aldermen by roll call.
Roll call? Didn't say
Yeah,
that.
we have
Oh,
to because
yes, we have
one.
one. Okay, then call the roll, please.
Alderman Sullivan,
Yes.
Alderman Clee,
Yes.
Alderman Lopez,
Yes.
Alderman Jettie,
Yes.
Alderman Camo,
Yes.
Alderman Dowd,
Yes.
Alderman Govea,
Yes.
Alderman Kathy,
Yes.
Alderman Tebow,
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
You have 10 yeas and 0 nays.
Motion carried, and we're adjourned at 7:18 PM. Now we'll go directly into budget.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
Oh, you have your budget right here.
You're gonna stay?
Yeah, I know. Do you need me to do the roll call?
Yep,
Who's on budget?
it's on the top of the agenda.
I'll stay for public comment.
I don't know if I have it, do I?
You have the agenda
Yeah,
up
okay, I
here.
have it. No, that's the task force. She didn't put the budget agenda there.
Yeah, it has the names, committee members.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yep.
Thank you for your patience.
So I'd like to call the budget review. What? I will. As soon as I call roll.
Just sit down.
I'd like to call the Budget Review Committee to order. It's March 28th, 2022. We're in the Aldermanic Chamber, and it's 7:19 PM. And the link is on Zoom, it's link listed on the agenda. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
And if you're attending by Zoom, please state your presence, reason for not attending in person, and whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law.
Alderman at Large Michael O'Brien. Alderman Kathy.
Present.
Alderman Jettie.
Here.
Alderwoman at Large Kelly, Alderman Sullivan,
Present on Zoom as I'm traveling for work and no one is in the room with me.
Alderman at Large Lori Wilshire,
I'm here.
and Alderman Dowd.
Present.
That is 1, 2. You have 5 present and 3 excused. 2 excused, sorry.
So we have a quorum. Before we go into public comment, there are 2 items on the agenda that are going to be tabled this evening. First is R22008 on Court Street, because it was referred back to the Budget Committee so that Alderman Clements could speak to it, but due to a family emergency, he is not here this evening, nor is he online. So I'll entertain a motion to table. Alderman Kathy.
A motion to table R22008, establishing an expendable trust fund for 14 Court Street expenses funded by appropriations.
Motion on the floor is to table R22008. Any discussion? Seeing none, we have to call a roll.
Alderman Kathy,
Yes.
Alderman Jettie,
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan,
Yes.
Alderman at Large Wilshire,
Yes.
and Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
That is 5 yeas, 0 nays.
R22008 is tabled to a further budget meeting. The other item that's going to be tabled this evening is the teacher's contract that was just referred to budget. There has to be a public hearing on the funding for that. So the public hearing will be on April 11th, and budget will follow that same evening, April 11th. So that is not on the agenda anymore for tonight. But I will.
Do you need to do a motion to
do
table it?
Yes, that was good.
Okay.
And can somebody please make a motion to table? I think that's our,
13, 22-13.
yep. R22, no,
No,
it's
no,
R22022. Motion to table.
Also moved.
Alderman Wilshire made the motion to table. Any discussion?
It's not debatable.
No debate,
Yeah.
sorry. Seeing none, please call the roll.
I will. Alderman Kathy,
Yes.
Alderman Jettie,
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan,
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire,
Yes.
and Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
You have 5 yeas.
Okay. R2200022 is table to April 11th. Getting back to the agenda.
That's the public hearing?
Yes, and budget.
Okay.
Public comment on anything that's on the agenda? Okay, seeing none. There being no objection, I'll suspend the rules to allow for the introduction of a communication that was received after the agenda was prepared. Communications from Lisa Photo, Director of Public Works, referrals from Board of Aldermen, R22013. There being no objection, I'll accept the communication and place it on file. Unfinished business?
Don't you have still have new business?
None.
None.
New business resolutions, R22008 was tabled.
R22-013.
1-3. It's,
Do you want me to read
you want to
that?
read it, please?
Yes. R22-013, authorizing the mayor and city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed $6,208,325 for the city's sewer infrastructure program and sewer structures.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Is there any discussion, any questions? Alderman Wilshire.
I'll make a motion to recommend final passage of R2213.
The motion on the floor is to recommend to the full board final passage of R22013. Any discussion? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Keep slipping back. Okay. Alderman Kathy,
Yes.
Alderman Jettie,
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan,
Yes.
Alderman at Large Wilshire,
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 5 yeas.
Okay. R-22-014.
R22-014, relative to the transfer of $44,000 from account 70100, general contingency, into Department 179, library, accounting classification 53, professional and technical services, to fund half the cost of a facility assessment and master plan for the library building.
Somebody like to make a motion? Alderman Wiltshire.
I'll make a motion to recommend final passage of Resolution 2214.
And a motion on the floor is to recommend final passage of R-22-014. Any discussion? Alderman Wiltshire.
So I think we all know that the library is one of the biggest assets in our city. I think this work that they need to do is long overdue. So I urge you all to support this. Our library is just, it's a great asset, and we don't want it to fail any more than, the infrastructure of it to fail any more than it already has. So I really urge all of you to support this.
Any other discussion? Alderman Clee?
Thank you. I know I'm not on this committee, but I wanted to share with everybody, one of the things that I do in Ward 3 is I look at a lot of the different aspects of it. And the Hunt Memorial was really kind of our original library. And in 1970, the library moved to the current location on Court Street. So when I look at that, this building is 1970, and I'm not sure how much work has been done on that building since 1970. I was still back in high school at that time, so it needs work, I think, for us to put forward this amount of kind of sharing or matching kind of funds. I think is a good way of spending our money, and it's a great resource, not just the books that it houses, but the activities that it does. So.
Alderman Jettie.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think there's somebody from the library here. So if I could ask...
Do you have a question for somebody from the library?
Yeah, I'd like to give them the opportunity to explain what this is about and why they're asking for this.
Would the library people like to come up and join us? You can take a seat if you want to.
Okay.
And please introduce yourself, your name and address.
Jennifer McCormick, 14 Chadwick Circle. I'm the director at the library.
Linda LaFlamme, 49 Abbott Street. I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees for the library.
Okay. Questions for the... Do you want to just give us a brief overview?
Sure. I think you said it very well. The new library has turned 50. And when you turn 50, things don't always work the way they did when you were young. And unfortunately, that's what's happened with our building. And to look forward to the next 50 years, we thought it would be wise to get some advice from some experts as to what needed to be done, what needed priority to be done, and what are some realistic costs to have those things done to protect the city's investment for the next 50 years and build on it as a library's role changes. So we went through an extensive search process and found a firm that was more enthusiastic about 1970s architecture than I thought was possible beyond the 70s. They have done buildings very similar to ours, buildings with more complicated problems than ours. And so they know what to look for beyond perhaps the obvious, which we found very reassuring. And the goal is to get a report from them that will give us, as I said, a timeline, some priorities, what we need to do, and in perhaps what order. I mean, you don't want to fix your inside ceiling only to find out your roof is leaking. So those sorts of things. And the trustees are very, very willing and very ready to put some trust funds to cover the cost of this. However, we truly hope the city will partner with us so that we can also retain some funds for contingency and emergency purposes. As Jen was just telling me, we've got HVAC repairs that we need to do. So things come up. So as I say, by splitting the cost with the city, we're able to keep something for a rainy day, but still try to plan for a future.
Alderman Kathy?
Didn't the library just recently complete a master plan? Or am I mistaken?
No, we completed a strategic plan, which is related to services and programming. So this master plan is purely for the facility. So Design Lab will look at the building envelope, the mechanical systems, electrical, plumbing, furnishings, and come up with a plan for capital improvements.
Okay. And follow up,
Follow-up.
When was the last time that the library had a master plan completed? Before now?
I don't believe it ever has.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Tebow?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not part of this committee and probably shouldn't be speaking, but I just wanted to thank Ms. Laflamme and Director McCormick for coming out tonight and talking to us. I love the library. I'm there a bunch of times during the month. I was just there for the mayor's, when he was, for the book reading, for the Winter Challenge. I think it's one of the jewels of Nashua and the area, and I saw the strategic plan as far as the curriculum and all that stuff that you guys were talking about, and I think that's great, and I hope we can support them for the other things as far as structure, infrastructure, so we can keep the building going, because it's as old as me, almost exactly, so, and I know I'm breaking down, so if anything we can do, that would be great.
You're getting no funding to help yourself.
No, 0 for that.
Any other questions? All set, Alderman Jennings?
Yes, thank you.
All right. The motion on the floor is to recommend final passage of R 22014. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes. Alderman Kathy?
Yes.
Alderman Jettie?
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan?
Yes.
Alderman at Large Lori Wilshire?
Yes.
And Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
You have
Motion.
5 yeas and 0 nays.
Motion carries. Next is R
Thank you very much.
22015.
Thank you. Yes, R 22-015, approving the cost items of collective bargaining agreement between the National Board of Police Commissioners and the Teamsters Local 633 from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2026.
So there may be question, somebody went, Laurie? Alderman Wilshire, rather?
015 is police commissioners and Teamsters. I think you said teachers when you meant Teamsters.
Oh, I apologize.
Teamsters. no?
I might have said the wrong thing, I'm sorry. Let me read that again, please. R-2022-015.
Not
approving
2022.
R-22-015. Approving the cost items of a collective bargaining agreement between the Nashua Board of Police Commissioners and Teamsters Local 633 from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2026. I'm older than the library.
Alderman Wilshire?
I'll move for final passage, to recommend final passage of Resolution 2215.
Okay, the motion on the floor is for final passage. I'm sure there's probably going to be questions. So I noticed that the chief of police is here, as well as his able financial assistant. If they both would like to come up, so.
Sit down.
Karen?
Or-
Yeah, you can sit here.
You could just sit in the hot seats.
Just in case it's a financial question.
Should be better than me.
If you would just like to give us an introduction on the.
Sure.
contract with
Kevin
Andy.
Rourke, Chief of Police. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'd like to speak on behalf of the collective bargaining agreement between the National Police Commissioners and the Teamsters.
Just give you a little background of what makes up this union. It's made up of 27 members. They are extremely important part of our agency. They're made up of 3 building maintenance employees, 2 fleet maintenance employees, 4 detective administrative specialists, 4 records technicians, 3 finance specialists, 3 legal assistants, 3 civilian booking officers, and one data analysis manager, 3 administrative assistants from the Services Bureau, Professional Standards Bureau, and the Uniform Bureau. And last but not least, 1 accreditation manager who is very important to us. Essentially, they are the glue that keeps the agency together. They are spread out through the building, but they perform different tasks. They are also our lowest paid employees of our 5 unions. The union does not have insurance with the city. They receive their union through the Teamsters. So I know one of the major topics of the mayor is the give back on the HMO healthcare. They do not have the healthcare with the city, so that this doesn't affect them. Just to let you know that during these negotiations, Director Kleiner and Attorney Steve Bolton were in the room providing advice and guidance. When we came to this agreement, both sides obviously agreed on this. So with that being said, we felt that this contract in front of you tonight is very fair and reasonable. And the police commissioners and I are in absolute support of this contract. So at this time, I would open it up for any questions.
Any of the aldermen have questions for the chief? Okay, good job. If there are no questions,
Vote and call the roll.
right, call the roll.
Alderman Kathy,
Yes.
Alderman Jettie,
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan,
Yes.
Alderman at Large Wilshire,
Yes.
and Alderman Dowd.
Yes,
You have 5 yeas and 0 nays.
so it'll go to the full board for final approval. And I believe that's tomorrow night. I think they can do an oral report. Do we have
No,
to
we're
meet
not
tomorrow?
tomorrow night.
No, not sorry.
Next week.
12th.
Next week, yeah.
12th, sorry.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Time flies.
This is a long
Thank you.
month.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Okay. The next, new business ordinances.
I think there are none, I'm sorry, I apologize. There are none.
Table in committee?
None?
General discussion? None? Public comment? Name and address?
Lori Ortolano, 41 Berkeley Street. Couple things with the Budget Committee. I have been pretty outspoken about my concerns with the funding and what's going on with the legal office, the right to know coordinator, and in general city responses with right to know issues. And I'm really concerned when the city offers legal representation to any employee who is not truthful under oath or in court or in general to its citizens. I feel very strongly that we should not be paying for that. We should not be paying for that representation out of our tax dollars. I think under, New Hampshire bar rules and to some extent ABA rules, there are pretty strict guidelines on ethics on representing somebody who isn't truthful. I finished a trial on Thursday that was, very taxing and challenging. And there were discoveries of information that wasn't provided that was very frustrating given a year. I mean, the cities have all the power to really abuse the law. The courts are backlogged. 91A is priority law, which means you're supposed to get into court quickly, but because they're so backlogged, it's almost impossible to do so. This records request was done a year ago, and you're in court, figuring out how to fix the problem 12 months later. And at that point, a lot of times the records are far less relevant. In this case, they weren't. But the city discovered more records 11 and a half months later because the lawsuit was in place. There was an email not provided that was, very informative about emails I had sent into the city that didn't appear in the record search. The 45-day retention policy for email storage and retention is a major issue for me that I think I'm going to go back into court on. I really think it's illegal. I think it's not being done correctly. I think that policy should be thrown out, and we should call it something else, and we should write it differently, because enough people have been under oath to say that they aren't even aware of it in this city, our workers. And I don't think
30
we're
seconds.
really living up to the law when it comes to email record retention and doing the right thing. And just because the city lawyers can go in there and tell a judge, oh, we throw our emails in different files and they're not searchable, and, we get rid of our transitory emails, I'm just finding what they say isn't really the case, and the training in there doesn't match that. And you saw today, I sent you the lawsuit that the judge ruled on in favor to hold the ruling on for a win. Thank you.
Just, the budget process right now is in the hands of the mayor. The alderman will not get it till May 10th. So any questions, concerns with the budget till that time have to be related to the mayor. All the departments, divisions rather, meet with him, and they come up with a budget that he'll present to us later. And I don't think the Board of Aldermen has anything to do with lawsuits between residents and the city. It's in the legal department, so. All right, remarks by Alderman. Alderman
Did we
Wilshire?
table the teacher's contract?
Yes,
Oh, we did, okay.
yes, we did.
At the very beginning.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
I tabled Clemens, Court
Yeah.
Street.
I don't think we tabled the teacher's contract.
You did.
We did, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we both missed it.
I did, I missed it, sorry.
I wrote table
Okay.
Yep.
to
Thank you.
411. Yeah, 5-0. Public
Cool.
hearing and budget, yeah.
Thank you.
I was sure I did that up front, so, okay. So remarks by Alderman? Alderman Kathy?
I just have a clarifying question about the budget review. Are the meetings, once we have the budget in hand, are they going to be different than normal budget review committee meetings? That there's going to be more of them spaced out, or?
Yes, when we go start going through the budget, we're gonna be going through division by division. And we will have a meeting with the division director, and it's an opportunity for them to present what they've given the mayor for their budget, what their needs are. And it's a meeting between the division directors and the budget committee. The public will have an input at the public hearing on the budget, which will be held at Nashua High North, and I can't remember the date off the top of my head. And that's when the public can come, all the division directors will be there, questions can be asked at that time, and they can get answers. So, but it is more like a working session between the budget committee and the division directors, and there will be several meetings.
So we'll have these type meetings and those meetings.
Well, we'll have regular budget meetings for legislation that has to
Right.
get approved.
And then we'll have like work group
And then
budget
we'll have
meetings.
work meetings,
Okay.
yes, which are just part of the budget process. We'll be spending a lot of time with the treasurer who is sitting in the audience.
Chairman?
Yeah, Alderman.
To Alderman Kathy's question, we might be meeting a couple times a week just to review the budget,
Oh, at least.
at least twice a week. so.
I assumed as much. I was just unclear about if they fell under regular budget review meetings or it was like
So
addition.
Donna and I, for some time now, have set up some meetings and who we meet with, because we've been doing this for a while. And the division directors have sort of been given they've fed us back nights that they definitely couldn't make it, so we've adjusted the dates. Everybody will have their opportunity. And if we're discussing large budgets, like the school department, that'll be a separate night. When we're discussing City Hall, we do all City Hall, the mayor's office, the Board of Aldermen, the legal office. And
Yeah, I'll be ready in September.
And you, at that point in time, you can
I've got to
take,
commit myself to representing all the people who aren't telling the truth and all that, so it takes up a lot of time.
so you have an opportunity to ask the division directors questions and take notes and But we will have wrap-up sessions where you can make motions if you so desire. But at that point in time, you'll have knowledge of all the divisions and how they interact and what the overall budget looks like, so.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Alderman
You have,
Clee?
I wanted, yeah, but we'll go with him first.
Alderman Sullivan?
Thank you. I also have questions specific, first for the teacher's contract. I know from sitting on this committee that we have 30 days from a first reading, but it's my understanding that there is health insurance, there's open enrollment, so there is a hard stop. I think it's April 15th from what I've heard from my questions about vetting the contract. So could you confirm that?
We'll be
Please.
taking the final action on the teacher's contract, presumably the final action, on April 12th. And then if it passes on April 12th, then it opens up. If we miss Director Kleiner, do you want to give the dates? Because I don't want to go out on a limb.
Good evening, Director Kleiner, Administrative Services. So there is language in this contract that affects the budgets for fiscal year '23. It is important in order for us to work with our consultants and produce all the benefit guides and open up open enrollment that we have that information by April 15th.
All set, Alderman Sullivan, or you have a follow-up?
I had a follow-up more specific to the general budget meetings,
Sure.
but thank you, Director Kleiner, for clarifying that. You had mentioned that you're lining up the meetings with the city directors. My request is that we get the schedule of meetings as quickly as possible. With the pandemic subsiding, business travel has now become a thing. Fortunately, I can plan my business travel, and I just want to make sure that I'm in person for those. So if we could please just get that schedule of meetings out and socialize as quickly as possible, I would greatly appreciate it.
So, yes, we're going to give it to the division directors first in case they have hard conflicts, but then I missed that part of it. We will then send it out to all the budget committee members so they can give us information on their availability, because obviously we need to have a quorum of people here to discuss any one budget, but there will be several budget meetings. And in past years, it's not always possible for every member of the budget committee to be here for all of them. And if there are major conflicts, we'll try to work around that for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Alderman Clee?
Thank you. And just for clarification as to what Alderman Kathy had been asking, these budget hearings that you have and so on, it does not contain public comment. It's
No.
just,
Just a
they're
work
giving their, and it's a work group. I just wanted that to be on the
Yep.
record. Thank you.
Okay. Any others? Alderman Jettie?
Yes, thank you. So I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting before I talked, or I expressed my confusion about the status of the spending cap and how that affects this
And we
this
said we'd
budget
have a
that
special
we'll.
meeting on that, and that hasn't been set up yet.
Okay, so since we have until May 10th, I think, before we get the budget, so sometime in April, we'll,
That's the plan.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. We have a motion, Alderman Clee.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I motion to adjourn by roll call.
Please call the roll.
Alderman Kathy?
Yes.
Alderman Jettie?
Yes.
Alderman Sullivan?
Yes.
Alderman at-large Wilshire?
Yes.
And Alderman Dow.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you have 5 yeas
Motion
and
ca-
7:49.
Motion carried, and we're adjourned at 7:49 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.